Hi, my name's Vince Sheehan and today I'd like to talk about Doctor Who, The Mythmakers. I'd like to go through this story from season 3 of the classic series, exploring how the plot's put together as well as some of the themes that crop up. If you could sum up what this story's about, really it's all about the Doctor's involvement in the Trojan War. Of course, this story is based on Homer's Iliad, as well as perhaps a touch of Shakespeare and Chaucer as well. So there's kind of a literary background to this story. In the first episode, the Doctor, Stephen and Vicky dematerialise on the plains outside the city of Troy, outside the walls, and they see Achilles fight Hector and slay Hector. The Doctor and Stephen then explore, but they're taken by Greek troops back to the Greek camp, where they encounter Agamemnon and Menelaus. Of course, it's Menelaus' wife Helen, who caused the Trojan War by running off with Paris, the Trojan prince. And they have mistaken the Doctor for Zeus because of the TARDIS, which they think is some kind of magic temple. But Odysseus, who's the wiliest of the Greek heroes, is not so sure. He hasn't made up his mind about the Doctor yet. He's rather sceptical of him and Stephen. In episode 2, the TARDIS is taken by the Trojans into the city. And here we meet King Priam, the king of Troy, his son Paris, and Troilus, Paris' younger brother, and Cassandra, the prophetess, who prophesies woe on the city of Troy. And Vicky realises where she is and dresses accordingly, and she comes out. Vicky is seen as either some kind of prophetess to bring good luck, or, as Cassandra views her, as a sorceress who's going to bring destruction on the city. In the meantime, in the Greek camp, Odysseus gives an ultimatum to the Doctor. He gives him 2 days in which to think of a plan to get into Troy. Stephen, in the meantime, is given leave to go to Troy to try and retrieve Vicky before the city is sacked. And he meets Paris, who's this rather kind of wimpy character in this. They have a fight and Stephen deliberately loses so he can be brought into Troy so he can look for Vicky. At the end of this episode, Stephen and Vicky, when they see each other and they notice and they recognise each other, they're viewed as spies, and they're locked up in the cells and they're ordered to be executed. In the third episode, the Doctor finally comes up with the plan of the Trojan horse, of course, and the plan's put into action. And this huge horse, which looks like the horse the Trojans worship, is wheeled in front of the city walls, and it's brought into the city with Odysseus, the Doctor, and some troops hiding in the horse's belly, of course. When the horse is brought in, Vicky is suddenly fated by King Priam as the one who's brought this good fortune. And also around about this time we realised that Vicky and Troilus, the young prince, realised that they're attracted to each other and there's this romance blossoming. In episode 4, Troy is sacked. The soldiers come out from the belly, including Odysseus and the Doctor. And Vicky warns Troilus. She says, "You get out of the city before this happens." He does. He meets Achilles, but he manages to kill Achilles, but Achilles wounds him. And while the city is being attacked from the inside and the gates are open to the other Greeks, Vicky decides that she wants to leave the Doctor and spend the rest of her life with Troilus, her true love. So she goes out into the plains of Troy and finds Troilus, and they decide, they pledge their love for one another, and then Aeneas turns up, who of course leads them off to Rome to found the second Troy, of course. In the meantime, Katerina, who's Cassandra's servant, the prophetess's servant, joins the Doctor, and the injured Stephen in the TARDIS, and that's how we're left at the end of this story. So yeah, the Mythmakers, you know, it's completely missing sadly, but I have seen a reconstruction, and I wouldn't say it's an absolute classic, but it's enjoyable. You know, the horse looks great for my eyes. There's even some brief clips of the soldiers coming down from the belly of the horse, which is quite nice to see. The walls around Troy look quite cool as well. And, you know, the characters within Troy in particular are well differentiated. You know, King Priam, who's this kind of rather larger than life character. Paris, who's a bit of a wimp. And Cassandra, who's a very stern character. And on the Greek side with Odysseus, this rather crafty and cunning fellow. And, you know, it just goes to show as well, I think, in those days, the standards of literacy assumed by the British public, you know, and children, of course. You know, they would have been expected to know about the Iliad, the Trojan War as told by Homer, and also perhaps some of the myths surrounding Troilus and Cressida, which are later inventions made famous by Chaucer and Shakespeare. So watching this 50 years on, and as a teacher myself, it's quite interesting to see that this would have just been expected knowledge for children in those days. I'm not making the judgment on that, but it's just interesting to see. It's not explained as it perhaps would be today. And the Doctor, you know, throws in the odd hint here and there, the odd allusion, you know, including to Odysseus, you know, you're going to have a trouble getting back, of course, alluding to the Odyssey, of course. But yeah, it's very, very interesting. And Vicky, you know, it's the end of Vicky's time with the Doctor, and Vicky's a likeable companion. Perhaps she doesn't quite fulfil her potential. I think with some stronger scripts, perhaps giving her bigger parts to play in some of the stories, she could have been a more substantial companion. But you know, it's sad to see her go, and of course you're wondering what's going to happen next, which of course is the Dalek master plan. Thanks for watching. I've just got a brief slideshow of the themes and the structure following this. Thank you, bye.